Ladies and gentlemen, what do you have there, Daisy?
Crowbar.
Maybe Toyok. Daisy is learning how to take nails out. Set the crowbar. Watch, Daisy. Wait, let's put this back. Set the crowbar into. There you go. And one quick pull. No?
Hard.
You have to pull it. Put it right up against the head of the nail. Get it tight. And then one quick pull. 1, 2, 3. Like that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Look at me. Are you having fun yet?
Yeah, I'm having fun. It's nice. Huh? And amping for me. Taking a video.
Hello, this is Michael.
And this is May.
And I am going to give you an update on the cost of living for creating the hotel, 4 stories. And the first thing I will show you is this piece of paper with the approximate costs of what I have now invested in tools, equipment, plans, surveys, office supplies, the lawyer, transportation, a 20-foot cargo container, and my time of approximately 50 hours comes out to $1,594,322, Jeffrey. And now I'm going to tell you some of the problems or issues, let's call them issues, that can arise. To get the plans themselves, you need to have a list of items that is given to you by the building department. And the first item on the list, would you get the list for me, please? Okay, you need 16 items total. Okay, first thing that you need to get done is a survey. Surveys cost 4,000 to 6,000 pesos, which is $80 to $120. After you get the survey, then you can go to the lawyer. Some lawyers want to receive 24. The contract is for 20 years, and they want 10% of the total contract for 20 years to make the contract. Those lawyers are all number 1 in my book. Now, if you shop around, you can find a lawyer that will tell you he can do it for between, well, 5,000 pesos for a simple contract. But there were people on my property that had to be relocated. So the contract had to be a little bit more complex to remove not squatters, but the people who actually owned the property. So because of that complication and other issues regarding setbacks and right-of-ways, the total lawyer's fee was 13,000 pesos plus a few thousand pesos more for miscellaneous things. So after you get the survey, then you go to the lawyer. This is the piece of paper with the 16 items. Now, you need a copy of the latest tax declaration. It doesn't have to be paid. It just has to have a copy. You need 3 copies. You need application forms signed by the architect, which is the next number on the list. They don't have to be done 1 through 16. They get done arbitrarily, but they all have to be done. And the application form signed by the civil engineer, the electrical engineer, and the master plumber are basically the plans that are completed, which I have 5 sets. 2 sets are mine, 1 set is for the municipality, 1 set is for the electrician, and the 5th set is for the master plumber. The plans can cost anywhere from, for a simple project, about 25,000 pesos or $500. But being that this was a 4-story unit, I had to get a special civil engineer to give me a height, because there are height restrictions. Even though the airport is 18 kilometers away, they wanted a height restriction application filled out. Now, the application itself costs 50 pesos, but the surveyor, the civil engineer that does the surveying, costs 7,500 pesos, because he's the only one locally that has a license to give you that. Now, bear in mind, when you hire an architect and he tells you 1 month for the plans, it could be 3 months. When you hire a civil engineer, he tells you 3 days, and it's usually 3 to 5 business days. And that's what happened with me. Now, there's another item called a CNC, which I have no idea what it is. All I did was hire another individual that's not on this list of costs for the CNC, and that was 5,000 pesos. You could do it online. That's the one item that you can do online yourself for 1,000 peso fee, plus you have to figure out how to do it. And I just don't have the time to do that, because the equipment costs that you see here, I'm setting up equipment from other islands and making arrangements to have equipment delivered, and tools that I don't have here in the Philippines, and I had already sold from my general construction company in America years ago. So basically I just don't have time. So the CNC is a necessary thing, and if you're going to go more than 2 stories, you have to have a height restriction limitation application addressed to the Civil Aeronautics Association, or basically the FAA. Now, another item on the list would be a deed of sale, which is the contract from the lawyer. Because I rented the property, I have a lease agreement. That has to have 3 copies, and you need to have a notary public sign the deed, which is the lawyer who did the deal. After you have those 5 items, then you need to go to the barangay captain with what is called a cedula, or a tax certificate. And the barangay captain puts up your application for the progression to start building on a bulletin board for 72 hours. And if no one challenges the building of the building, the barangay captain gives you a certification that it's okay to build, and that permit is 200 pesos for the certificate itself, and what, another 50 pesos?
Yes, it is.
50 pesos for some miscellaneous piece of paper. And I suggest you bring the barangay captain a nice box of cookies. They go a long way in the Philippines. Each of the people on this list, except the vertical height certification, got a box of cookies. And the FAA also got a box of cookies. It's on its way. The next thing you need to do is you need to get something called an EEC, because it's a commercial building, and the EEC is very simple to get. You just apply for that, and you can get that in a day or so. Okay, so then you have to have a structural analysis and design for 2 stories and above. That's given to you by the architect if he has the qualifications to sign that off. If he doesn't have the qualifications to sign it off, if it's just a draftsman, you can get a civil engineer to sign off the building structural analysis and design, which is number 10. Then you have to have an estimate for the bill of materials. Now, the estimate for the bill of materials is typically done by the draftsman or architect, which I suggest you hire an architect, because he has a program that once the building is laid out in the computer, it gives you a list. Would you find that list for me, please, Daisy? Gives you a list of the building materials. The next thing, and it's itemized, we're going to see it in a moment. You need to have a long brown envelope so that you can put your paperwork in, not your plans. Your plans come from the architect. You get 5 copies and you sort them out. Now this is a list. This is what the materials list looks like. And what the materials list does for the municipality is it gives them an idea how much money is going to be spent on materials, and then the municipality adds up the total of those materials. They know what the cost of the materials are. They have a program in their computer, and they total that up, and what they do is they tax you on the list of materials. In my case, I'm not sure what the tax is on the materials. I think it's 10%, but I could be wrong. But my materials tax was 8,900 pesos, or 9,000 pesos. And that's for all construction. That's for the tile, the electric, the plumbing, the concrete footings, the steel, the bars, the rebar, nails. Everything is on the materials list that you need to build the building, almost like an erector set type of itemization. After you get the long brown envelope, you bring all that stuff to the municipality, and then the chief engineer will go over your plans, and if you have the 5 sets of plans approved by a master electrician, a master plumber, and a civil engineer, and of course the certified, an CAA or FAA certified civil engineer, if you have all of that stuff approved, then the master engineer at the municipality will sign you off, and then you will wait for your height clearance permit from the CAA or FAA. In the meantime, you can also purchase a 30-inch by 60-inch piece of plywood or metal to put the permit number painted white. So you have to paint the plywood black and paint the number white. You have to observe the setbacks, which the engineer or architect that will give you the setbacks for your location. You have to observe those. In the meantime, you're still waiting for the height clearance, but if you bring them all a box of cookies and you talk nice to everybody, even though some things don't go as well as planned, yeah? Did we have some setbacks?
Yes.
People will tell you, oh, it'll be done on Tuesday, but it's not this Tuesday or next Tuesday or even the Tuesday after that, nor is it the Tuesday after that. They meant Tuesday of next month or close to Tuesday of next month. Could be Wednesday or Thursday, if you get my point. Meanwhile, you're still waiting for the height certification clearance. But if you gave everybody a box of cookies, or you bring them pan, which is bread. You can bring them those little 5 or 7 peso biscuits. They like that stuff a lot. You can bring 20, put it on the table, and they all announced that there's pan on the table. How long did that box of cookies last?
Huh?
The box
15?
of cookies. Remember we brought the box of cookies to the municipality?
Yes.
How long did it last?
2 minutes only.
2 minutes, and somebody forgot one in the bottom of the box. It looked like it was part of the wrapper, and one of those guys got 2, and he was an important guy to get 2. I made sure he got the last one. And also you need an affidavit of undertaking, which is nothing more than a piece of paper that is libre, free. Meanwhile, you are still waiting for the height clearance, but digressing, if you gave everybody a box of cookies, you can say to them, you can show them the registered mail for the height clearance, and you can show them the affidavit that the CNC has been applied for. And if everybody got their cookies, you can say, may I please lay out the batter boards, which is the perimeter of the property, and start clearing the land. Because if you start before they say start, you're gonna be finished before you know it. So don't do it. But I waited, and everybody got a box of cookies, so they're all happy. Campus. So other costs that are incurred were travel expenses. I'm paying rent now. Basically, I'm paying rent on both my properties, both my apartments, and the land that I'm building on. So figure 60,000 a month just only for the rent. 1,500 pesos a month for the rent, for the land, and both my apartments in Bohol and Palawan. And you will be seeing these videos go up as we progress, but I have no work to show you. I have equipment, but there is no reason to show you that either. Some of it's in boxes like this that I brought on the airlines coming back from America. I brought some extra boxes, and some of my equipment is being shipped. And some of my equipment is being shipped from Cebu. Other pieces of equipment are being shipped from Manila. The rebar bender, I'm going to purchase a rebar bender. Making an order for Alibaba for the torches. You're going to need a set of acetylene tanks and torches. I can tell you what that will cost. The acetylene tank for a 3 cubic foot tank is 5,000 pesos for the deposit. For a 4 cubic foot tank of oxygen or air is 5,000 pesos for the cost of the deposit. The tanks come empty. The air is a 500 peso charge to fill it up, and the acetylene is 1,050 pesos, or about $25. The air is $10. The torches, I had sold my torches in America for $200, torches and tanks, and now I'm purchasing torches and tanks. I'm going to spend about $300 or $400 for all new. So it was a good trade-off. The container that I have listed on here for 85,000 pesos is a cargo container in good condition, out of date. The service for the cargo container is out of date, but before you can start the actual construction, I can set the batter boards up. You need a few more things. You need temporary electric. So far they haven't asked me for a temporary plumbing because the neighbor is going to allow me to use the plumbing. The temporary electric charge is 2,000 pesos, and for that he runs a wire from the pole up to 15 meters, and then he brings that wire into the container, and then he puts one double 20 amp circuit breaker one double 220 outlet and one light and a switch for the light. And then when you're done with the job, he takes that. That's used equipment. That's why it's only $50 for the temporary electric. The water, I don't need temporary water. I would imagine it's close to the same from what I understand, but I didn't actually get a price for that, but I don't need it. You cannot start a job unless you have a generator, except for the batter boards, the perimeter boards. You have to have either a generator or you have to have temporary electric. You can't start the job without electric, and you can't start the job without a shanty, which is my container, for the men to get changed in and have lunch in, protection from the sun for their breaks. You have to have, you can build something out of cocoa lumber and thatch if you wish, but they have to have a place that's a little bit private for them to change and eat. Other costs, miscellaneous costs, they knock the shit out of you with all these little miscellaneous costs. Travel, a piece of paper, the piece of paper for the height clearance. You have to go to the city to get the piece of paper for the height clearance, and then you come back with the piece of paper, and then the civil engineer at the municipality says, now you can go to the civil engineer. And then when you get to the civil engineer that's certified to do the height clearance, he already has that paper. But they don't tell you that. I think they just want you to spend money on transportation, yeah?
Yes.
How long did that take
right.
us? How many hours did that take us?
Maybe 5 hours or 4.
Yeah, approximately. By the time we went to the municipality, asked what the next step was, because we had to wait online, and then took a jeepney into the city, which was a little over an hour and a half to get to the airport, and then came back. Yeah, it was probably 5 hours. And then when you get that paper, they know that you got the paper. Then they give you a couple of names for the civil engineer, and then when you get to the civil engineer's office, he has that paper right on the desk. Remember, you're number one in the Philippines, baby. But who's number one? Who's number one? Who's number one?
Michael Fazio.
Number one. Daisy May. She would know. So I have, again, I have about $1,600,322. Where's that total? Let me show my friend Jeff that total again. Right there. 1,594,322 pesos is a rough estimate. Now, last but not least, no one has even come close to guessing the name of the hotel. So, in my previous video, I said if you guess the name, you get a free week. So, you guys are welcome to try to guess. If I don't answer you, you didn't get it at all. And if I don't answer your questions and answers, because I don't have time anymore. I have other projects besides this project. I'm working on something else. So, this is Michael Fazio and
Daisy May.
In the Philippines, baby, saying, Amping Permi, Oy vey,
and
and Shalom, baby.